I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 10. Now, the goal for today is to leave this mod pack on a high note, to essentially have all the mod stars fully automated to where if this was running on a server, it would indefinitely make stars forever. And I want this to essentially conclude the mod pack and kind of be the perfect wrapping up point, allowing us to essentially automate these forever. Now, this is going to come at the cost of a few things, specifically creative items and, well, more all the mod star blocks. Now, I know I like to yap on and, well, chat in the videos, but I do want to give a huge thanks to all of you who have watched this series so far, as it has been well over 32 hours worth of videos that are edited that have been published onto the main channel here. And I just want to say thank you. You honestly making it to the end of this series, man, really does mean a lot to me. And well, you've gotten to see the entire journey from the down low points of the pack all the way up to the super high energetic parts of the pack. And well, it has been such a fun journey. Now with this, it also means that it is World Download Day. So if you're a supporter of any tier, whether that is on Patreon, whether that is on Discord as a Discord premium member, here as a YouTube member, and even over on Twitch, you guys will get access to this world. And this world is full of everything you could ever want to automate these stars and to decorate and play even further if you would like. And man, there is just so much to just kind of get a glimpse at. And I mean, there is so many things to take a look and just go, man, how was that done? Oh yeah, I mean, I did it this way. And I mean, I will always have this to fall back on. Not to get on a soapbox or anything, but over the last few years, while I've been making videos for modded Minecraft and things like that, I've really learned so much. And I still feel like every day I am learning something new, learning about a new process, learning how something works that I may not have known due to like there not being really good documentation on stuff. And I've really started to really appreciate all of the help from you guys in the comments, because without you guys, I would have never learned how to play any of this in the first place. So to all of you who have made a comment throughout this series, even if it was just one, thank you as well. Now, honestly, that's enough thanks for right now. And I think it's time for me to get off my soapbox and, well, start to actually set up automation that is going to allow this to run nonstop. Now, first thing to explain how to get this to work. I did experience some issues when auto crafting the star. I went ahead and crafted 9 more stars. And in doing so, I noticed that the blocking mode just doesn't like enchanted books very well. For some reason, it doesn't recognize that the enchanted books exist, and it will actually send more enchanted books than it should in the recipes. So what I've done is, if you watched an episode prior, I actually had this set up where it would work with locking mode. And so I have the locking mode automation set up where we have a pipe network that is separate that runs over here and uses a storage bus to send the items back into the pattern provider. So as soon as they're finished, they get pulled out. It is receiving power from the main network, but these are on separate networks. It is a subnet. So this right here allows me to easily request, and it never fails. So far, it has not failed, but whenever I had it in blocking mode, it definitely did fail. So something to keep in note. That is one of the first things I've changed. Next is that we are going to need quite a few stars. And what I'm going to have to do is actually change up all of my mystical agriculture setup, because right now I don't have it set up in a way where I can easily produce essences on AutoCraft because I shut down all of my other setups. What I want to do is actually convert all of my mystical agriculture setups so that way they are down crafting from Insanium into their base essences. So now, after getting all of that essence set up and reconfigured, I should be able to now request 9 more stars very, very easily. And you can see all of the required ingredients right here ready to go. But now, while that is crafting up, we need to take a look at how we're actually going to use these stars and blocks. And that's where the creative items are going to come into play. Now, there is a couple of creative items that I really, really want. And there's only really a few that are kind of meh and really aren't going to help me automate and make more stars. Now, in reality, the creative energy cube isn't really going to help me too much right now. We already are basically producing more than enough power than we'll ever need in the future, which is like 80 million FE per tick, give or take. But the creative energy cell is a different story. This thing is actually really cool for applied energistics, and it essentially allows you to have like an infinite power buffer. So if you ever wanted to make like singularities, you don't have to ever worry about your power dipping out if you, for example, use an IO port with max upgrades. The creative energy cell does not care, and it will carry all of that for you. It also allows you to do the spatial stuff essentially instantly without needing to wait for a buffer to fill up. And honestly, to make this is not too bad. You just need a couple of super dense energy cells and a star, and we can easily make this. And it is going to require the 2 billion, or technically max int FE, which is actually no problem at all. We'll build up very, very fast. Now, also getting a creative source jar is something I really want to do. This is actually super duper cheap, as it just requires a star. It doesn't even require source to make it. You do, however, need full unobtainium source jars, which is very, very easy for us to do. But I think the true potential is really going to show itself in the creative tanks. And if you didn't hit U over the star, you actually wouldn't even see that these exist, because I don't think they show up in JEI. So there's the creative tank and creative chemical tank. The creative fluid tank, honestly, is going to be one of the most overpowered things that we can obtain at the end of this pack. And the best thing to probably use it on is going to be some of the 4 fluids that go into the production of our Hephaestus Forge, right? I think the Auriel is going to be definitely really good, and the liquid souls, and definitely getting automated blood, like an infinite supply. Now let's first go ahead and let's head into our, not enchanting area. We got to go into this area, the Ars enchanting area. And I think what I want to do is actually fill these jars, right? So I'm going to go ahead and place these source jars in here, get them nice and filled, so that way we can make the creative source jar. Let's go ahead and put this together. This is going to be actually our first creative item, and it kind of makes sense that the first creative thing I make is actually Ars related, because Ars has been an incredibly fun mod that I have played with throughout my journey in this pack. Just all of the extra stuff, being able to make like this high tier book that allows us to put like up to 20 individual glyphs on here is absolutely insane. But there we go. The creative item is being made, creative source jar, and I know just the place to put this. This is actually going to work out really, really well. It is essentially going to take over our spot that we have over here. Well, kind of and sort of. Now, this might seem a little bit crazy what I'm actually about to do, but I'm going to use applied energistics to handle this source jar. So we're going to need a storage bus, and I'll go ahead and make one of those, and we are going to use a subnet in order to do this. So I'm essentially going to storage bus this source jar right here, and we can use export buses to send source very, very quickly to any of the other tanks, including this ender tank, essentially meaning that we won't even need to worry about generating source anymore. And that setup is going to kind of look like this. So let's have a creative source jar right here. We're going to slap on this, the storage bus. We do need to give this network some power, so I'm actually going to extend a cable right here. Now this is going to need a cable anchor in order to break this connection technically. So there we go. So now we have a cable anchor, keeping this network separate. And then I'll use a fiber right here to give this special line some power. And then we just need export buses. Because this tank is infinite, it should allow us to use AE to transfer this source indefinitely. Now I am going to need this source icon over here, the wrap generic stack, our favorite type of stack. And what we're going to do on this little subnetwork is we're going to drag this over here. That's going to now export that, and drag this here. That's going to now export that. With help of the acceleration cards going in here and here, we should never have to worry about source running out in these jars ever again. Now remember, it doesn't look fast at first, but once the ramp up period happens, we should never see like the disappearance of this fluid technically. So now let's go ahead and make the creative AE. I think this is definitely worthwhile making, as it is going to make your system essentially not require anything to really be worried about it. And to make this work, you are going to need some super dense energy cells, and believe it or not, I already have some. But just for the sake of this, we need to make 4 of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 4 real quick. And when I mean quick, it makes them so fast. And then I just need to place them in here along with the star, and then we just kind of wait for that 2 billion to fill up, and then it's good. Like, look how fast this is actually already going. And this right here will give us a creative item. This is really, really nice. Oh man. All right. So let's now look. Creative, I think applied energistics, creative cell. What is it called again? There it is. No, wait, no, where's it at? Oh, that's right. I think my modular router that is down here essentially cannot send it back because of the way that the filtering system works. So yeah, you can't just like throw random things in just like that. But it did go in here and there it is. Energy cell ready to go. And I think the best place to put this is probably going to be right here in between this mud block, right on this setter, right on this dense energy cell right here. And once that is applied, we now should have infinite power. At least I think so. Actually, I might want to go ahead and lower this one down right here so it's directed directly to the cable. And then, yes, this is infinite. This is infinite power on our AE network. Now it's time for the fun part. That's right, making the creative tanks. And we can already make a couple of creative tanks. I am slowly but surely building up our stars. You can see right here, that is definitely building up and is processing, as you can see right here. So in reality, I really only need like 3 creative tanks to essentially automate all 3 of those major fluids. But once those are automated, then it's just a matter of just kind of sitting back and waiting. I did accelerate this. Now, if it doesn't require power in the craft, this is something that you can definitely use. I think we could even technically accelerate this and this as well. Once we put more hatches in here, potentially for power, allowing more power in, same on this as well. If we can give it more power, then we might be able to accelerate it a bit more. I think this one will be a little easier to accelerate. However, we do have to have the fluids. Thankfully, this doesn't use any power or anything like that. And we did automate the source hatch. And so now we have unlimited source. So we're almost there to full scale automation. All we need to do now is take our stars and craft them into blocks. And then I need to take a look, for example, at the creative tank and then just simply request all of those items. And those tanks should easily build up. It shouldn't take very long at all. There they all are. And then we just simply hit U, and now we have a creative tank. Now for the creative tank, I recommend using a gauge dropper, and we can just simply sample the fluid that we want from one of our drawers. For example, if I want to do Ariel or blood, we have them all right here. There's the liquid souls. Let's see, crude oil. Where is our Ariel? Yeah, we have very little of it. So let's see. It's in one of these. Oh, perfect. There it is. We actually are so low on it that it's now only contained within this. So I think liquid Ariel might actually be the best thing to gauge drop first, just to make sure that we can produce an infinite supply of it. And the way that we do this is we place this down, we open up the GUI, and we just simply right click in here, the thing that we want to be infinite. And now we have liquid Ariel that is now infinite. So now let's go ahead and hook it up. So I've disconnected here. I'm going to use a regular mechanical pipe. That should be pretty darn fast. And then set that to pull, and that should keep that hatch nice and filled. Now we still have the other hatches, primarily the blood, because the XP fluid we have basically unlimited amounts of. That's coming from our mob farm. But the souls and the blood are going to be 2 of the biggest limiting factors outside of the RL, which we just solved. So I've already gotten blood sorted out, and so now we have that one, and then I just have to use the gauge dropper on this one right here, which is the liquid souls. And as soon as I have that, we have now a creative tank of souls. And that is technically all of the stars that I have farmed up. And we now have the ability, I think, to technically fully automate this. I've just got to slap these down and then make sure with our configurator to get that sending in constantly. Now, to help with performance, I did go ahead and break the controllers on all of the blocks that I'm currently not using, in hopes that it prevents any crashing issues, which I've had a little bit of crashing issues, mostly due to whatever these blocks are, these multi-blocks are, because up to that point, I didn't really have any issues. But now that I have that, I have those broken. We don't need those anymore because we have creative tanks. We are ready to rock and roll. So I think with that, we almost have everything ready to go to essentially call this pack 100% beat. And that means we need a way to technically constantly request stars to be produced. And to do that, it's all going to come back to one central location, back to our AE and back to our simple ME requester. So now I can take a star, for example, and I should be able to place this in here, and then we can set the keep stock amount to like 256, just for an example, and only do one at a time. And we can go ahead and apply that and toggle that request on. And so now what it's going to do is it is going to request basically all these stars up to 256 indefinitely. That, well, at least until it hits 256 stars requested. But in theory, I could set that to an infinite amount of numbers, or the very, very high number that'll never be reached, and it would continue to produce them. Now, the only other limitation would be just to simply make more bees. And the cool part about this is I can make more bees, and I kind of want to add more hives to the central block. Now, setting up more bees, well, that's the easy part, but actually locating them and managing all of their stuff, that's going to take a bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push SFM to its limits. I just want to run these SFM cables all the way over here, so I don't have to make a new network, and I can still manage all of our drops in the same location. So perfect. I'll just tap it in like this, bam, and there's an entire line set up that goes all the way up here. And what I want to do is actually kind of set up what is essentially going to be kind of like a pillar. It is going to be shorter than this, but I do want the pillar to go up, and underneath, like right underneath the pillar, is where I'm going to have my beehive set up. So I'm thinking just like this, we'll have the advanced beehives, and then in the center will be that all the mods block. And then we'll have the expansion box directly on top. And then it's just a matter of, well, trying to make this look good, which we can go ahead and continue the Forbidden Arcanist theme by placing in some of these pillars. Ooh, that's starting to look really good. So yeah, to keep with the theme, I'll even add some more of our crystal blocks. Ooh, now that's more like it. So after getting more of the starry bees through, of course, our process that we can use by using the gene samples, there we go. I now have way more than enough bees to technically fill all the hives. Now, the last thing I needed was another block of all the mod star. It does seem like a little bit crazy once you get to this point and you're just like infinitely producing all the mod star blocks. But I do need to get this one in the hive. So now we have all of these hives filled with starry bees. They're all filled with starry bees, all connected into our SFM network. And I do have them all properly labeled with our SFM label gun. And then, yeah, these are filled as well. So yes, this is all producing now all of the shards, hopefully enough to just keep it constantly running forever. And that, my friends, has been one wild ride of a mod pack. All the mods 10. Yes, we've done it. We've completed the star, and we completed all of the automation for the star and everything that there is to do. And to all of you completionists out there, here we go. Bam. All of those items. Look at that. I even went ahead and made the creative energy cell. I mean, shoot, might as well since I had all of the stars available. Now, this has been a really, really fun mod pack, and I've had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys while completing it. And I hope you enjoyed this journey so far. Now, for those of you who want to stick around for a little bit, I am going to do a little bit of a recap, kind of covering some of the base, so that way you can see and kind of go back if you missed some of the episodes and kind of see all of the crazy setups that I've done. Now, technically, we all started here, right here on this little sky island where I decided to build off a little bit so that way we could set up some early game infrastructure. And this house was very, very tiny, but man, did it serve its early game purposes before I had the ability to set up an applied energistic system. The original storage is still in here, and same with the original furnace. I had everything hooked into a storage lectern, and what I was using this for now was to house some very special items so that way I would never lose them, basically storing all of these templates. Now, after moving, I did manage to find a beautiful location for our initial castle build. And what I did was I built up the castle, and if you still want those templates, you can of course find the castle templates, which is just built in stone, over on the Discord in a 1/4 slice that you can definitely use the copy and paste gadget for, and you can paste that code in and voila, bam, you would have a similar start to me. But yes, that is all on the general channel, by the way, pinned in the in that channel. But this is it. This is the castle. right here. And I wanted these rooms to be built out so they could be big enough to house some modded stuff. Specifically this, which is really what jump-started us, which is our beautiful mystical agriculture farm that has been running. There is a pylon that is basically harvesting all of these and just immediately sending the results into a dimensional chest. And this produces a ton of resources for us. And I have some of these that are essentially just farming things like uranium. Now upstairs is a little bit of cultism. So we have some occultism that we use for automation for some of the star pieces. And then up top is where things get really wild. This is where I set up my mob farms that are producing a ton of resources. And anytime I needed something new, I could just simply farm these mobs. And this has been incredibly powerful, especially this part right here, which is farming regular mobs, like every kind of mob. And then inside of this barrel, you can see all of the mob drops. There's just so much in there. I'm also tick accelerating and farming all of our essences over here as well, utilizing originally the source that was coming in from the mob farms from Vitalik source links. Now, of course, more things that are up top, but not necessarily in the progression that I went. We also have up in the main, which I wanted to be a mystical sort of resource generation, but also magic themed area. We have bees, which I do feel like they're very sort of magical. We are using SFM to manage everything. This very simple code that you see right here, or script, is essentially managing all of our items that are inside of our beehives, sending everything either into a storage, into the centrifuges, or into a tank. And all of our resources you can see here are being managed automatically due to that SFM code. Now, originally I had planned on having some sort of teleportation area in the middle of the base, but that never came to fruition. I never figured out how I was going to manage all of that. So instead, I just went with a centralized waystone in each of the areas to teleport me down. But this is directly underneath. You can see by the minimap underneath the castle, perfectly aligned. And this is where our monstrosity of an applied energistic system exists. And boy, oh boy, did I fill this out. Look at all this. You can see I have every single one of my cable lines that I originally set out to fill up completely used as I wanted. And I had this in my mind the way that it looks, and it turned out perfect. It looks exactly how I planned. I also have armor sets that are inside of all of these areas, much like this, kind of with a Batman-ish theme. The color scheme was meant to mimic the allthemodium, the vibranium, and unobtainium, which is materials that you gain through the pack. And then inside of each one of these, we have power automated. Right in here, we have the time crystals automating through all three of the dimensions. In these cubby holes, we have all kinds of planters. This is the mystical agriculture that is running incredibly fast on the hydroponic beds. Very, very cool. Over here, we have the hostile neural networks that is linked in, and also a world that is generating just stars inside that compact machine using hostile neural networks. Then we have our extreme reactor set up. This is all we needed to finish up extreme reactors, that and bees, of course. And then the majority of this is filled with mechanism. This is our HDPE sheets automation, and then just generating our hydrogen and oxygen. Very, very useful. This is doing our fizzle fuel. This is all we needed for fizzle fuel. Very, very compact. This is just simply generating lithium dust. Then we have, well, our wow, I can't even say it. This is the supercritical phase shifter, which is what has been producing our antimatter pellets, which we of course have more in our storage. This is the super simplistic automation for the mechanism, which allows us to just have one single pattern provider to essentially automate all of this. This is sending power and also manages sending dual inputs into the sides of the machine. Really, really cool mod. Advanced AE has honestly been a game changer in this pack. And then we have our industrial foregoing souls area, where we have a warden getting his souls sucked. Yeah, indefinitely. And this right here has been what has produced tons and tons of resources and allowed us to progress through this pack at a reasonable amount of time, because it's still taken a very long time, over almost 12 days worth of gameplay. Then of course we have our simple fusion reactor with the redstone to prevent it from shutting down or blowing up, I mean. And then we have our turbine, which for some reason doesn't look like it's spinning, but it is technically just rendering. It's not rendering the spinning. And then all of our waste management, which of course is no longer really generating the waste like and storing it here because these are no longer running. But we have 11,000 of each. You don't really need a whole lot more polonium and plutonium. Up top here is the Just Dire Thing automation, which is what we used for the star to generate all of the Just Dire Thing liquid, which is in here. This is the Ember Eclipse fuel. So all of that is set up, and I use this to essentially fill up all of my tanks that was needed for that. I'm just making a mess over here. But yes, that is done. And I thought that automation looked absolutely amazing considering how much it kind of takes to kind of know about the mod to set it up. And then of course our powerhouse, which is the deuterium and tritium being combined into DT fuel, which is powering our fusion reactor. Pretty darn cool, which is now off because, well, we have unlimited power. Now, a lot of our crafting is technically hidden up here with a max-sized quantum computer and a assembler matrix that has basically been the powerhouse of all of our auto crafting. And now for the epic room, which is the Under Tech room. This is where we did all of our modern industrialization setups. We also did a little bit of automation here for the Actually additions. And then we also have our massive ore generation cube that is using Actually additions. All of this stuff was needed to complete the All the Mod Star. This was one epic project that, man, I am super glad I spent my time completing. And for those who are interested in the statistics, here is the statistics. Of course, you can pause at any time. There is so much to kind of take a look at here, but the big number that I want to point out, because this is all single player, is the playtime. Yes, 12.1 days worth of actual playtime. It's a lot, and this is probably the most amount of playtime that I have ever put into a All the Mods pack. Now let's get past Levi over here and head on in to the actual setup that does it all, that makes all of the All the Mod stars. It is this area right here that we've been working on the last few episodes, all the way from our automatic Hephaestus Forge to the runic enchanter itself that is now being tick accelerated, all the way here to our beautiful Star Forge. And this, my friends, is where I'm going to have to bid you farewell. Or at least farewell until the next mod pack, because that is going to happen very, very soon. And I hope you guys are excited for that. And if you're looking forward to the next mod pack playthrough, of course, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. Now, I don't say this a lot, but I do have a Twitch and a second channel. You can find that all linked down in the description below. You can find that at Chosen Live, or you can find me on Twitch as ChosenArchitect. And I do live stream about 3 days a week. And we do test out mod packs over there, and we're also going to be doing some SMP stuff here soon, so definitely be sure to check that out. Now, at the end of every episode, I usually like to thank a supporter of the episode. But today, I just want to thank all of you who have supported, who have watched, and who have just simply followed along with me through this journey. And guys, I thank you very, very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.